When I do a shoot day with people, sometimes I'll just like hit record and won't tell them. And then after about 10 minutes or 15, or if it starts trailing off, I'll be like, by the way, we've been recording the whole time. It's that easy.
This guy, I just spoke to Johnny Rose and spent an hour and a half.
I started the podcast to solve a problem for me, which was I want to meet cool people my age who are building stuff, but nobody's talking about it.
Talking about everything from personal branding to creating your first video and where that actually falls into place with your content strategy.
It will be weird, it will be cringe. Your first posts will be crap, your first videos will be crap. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of the journey, and people overthink it.
We seem to cover many subtopics, and this went wildly over schedule, but it was a great one. So hope you enjoy. This is Johnny Rose from Storyteller. One thing Phil said was like, try and just forget the cameras are here. Like, just stop doing it like your typical interviews and try and just, you know, set it up as if it's just two friends just getting like recorded, having a chat.
You did it over Zoom or Google Meet though?
Yeah. As soon as you're looking at that camera, it does something to
Dude, I only like in person, 100%. That like, my podcast is fairly scattered anyway, but the reason is because you could easily maximize and get an episode out every week if you were recording. Not easily, I know it's a challenge in its ways. I've got to be understanding when it comes to video, of course. But you just can't change that face to face. We can read our body language, mannerisms, if, especially because we're Glaswegian, if we're speaking, we kind of like jump in and probe areas at the same time. Over Google Meet, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah.
Oh, what, I didn't catch that. Oh, sorry, no, you go. And it just loses a little something.
On the last episode with Phil, it had cut out on my side, but he had heard the last word that I said, so he just kept rolling. Complete wrong thing. We were kind of joking about it after. He just rolled with it anyway, but he didn't hear the actual full question because the connection cut. So things like that just take away from it. I also feel as well, like if you watch the first episode I did with Carla, mate, I looked depressed. I was horrible. I was taking me everything.
You mean because of the kind of nerves, just like
as soon as you look at the camera, as soon as the record button gets hit, does something to you. I don't know what it is, but it just sucks the soul out of you.
When I do a shoot day with people, sometimes I'll just like hit record and won't tell them, and then after about 10 minutes or 15, or if it starts trailing off, I'll be like, by the way, we've been recording the whole time. It's that easy, and that triggers something in people's heads to be like, oh wow, right, so maybe this day I've been dreading with build up to, obviously not dreading spending time with me, but with like the pressure and the build up, it immediately triggers something in the head, being like, oh, it's that easy, it's a conversation.
I wish he never told us we were recording. As soon as he told us that we were recording,
just think about it, you and me have the benefit as well, right, that we've hung out, like talking about doing podcasts in person. We know each other before, but a lot of the guests, when I meet them for my podcast, and probably for yours as well, you've not met before, you've had an online conversation. And that sometimes feels a bit stiffer. That's why I like to grab a coffee before as well. It's a wee bit more social.
So do you do that? Do you meet them before?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, if they can fit it into their diary.
Yeah.
Grab a wee coffee, just chat, warm up, and then...
So why do you do it? What's the main benefit for you?
So I started the podcast 2018 when I'd moved back from New York. I'd done a lot of Eventbrite meetup.coms, and you go to all these cool events. Obviously New York's like the peak of that, right? Everyone was working on something, everyone was a bit of a hustler, had a side project. And when I moved back to Glasgow, I was like, I want to keep that up. But the problem was, back in about 2018, networking wasn't what it is now. It was the old school style networking. I was about 28. The ages, there was no one in that middle age. It was either dudes in their 50s who were there to hand out business cards, proper old school style, or like the people in their teens who were eager to learn and all that. So I started the podcast to solve a problem for me, which was I want to meet cool people my age who are building stuff, but nobody's talking about it. Tall poppy syndrome in the UK, obviously it's less frowned upon now, but talking about success or building in public was something like they're boasting or they're bragging or whatever. The podcast gave me a reason to reach out to people building stuff. Now you get a lot more positive responses. Back then people would just be like, sorry, not interested, or ghosted. Now everyone's looking for a chance to promote themselves because they know the benefits. Totally. But that's why I started it, and it started as the 30-something podcast rather than the Story Club podcast, because I was coming up to 30s and society it was the whole, again, things have evolved, and this is generalization, is people still stuck in that view and bubble maybe, but it was by the time you're 30, you've got to live in the suburbs, have the white picket fence, have like the kids. Working on your business and being an entrepreneur wasn't that obvious or visible. And I realized as the pandemic hit and stuff, and it was talking about people who are not comfortable going on camera, in general, the younger generations are more comfortable with growing up with TikTok and that. People in their 30s less so. So I'd kind of backed myself into a corner. So then I changed it to the Story Club podcast, because what I love is the ability for people to tell their stories. And the podcast was actually called the Story Club before the business. So the podcast was actually probably part of what naturally led into what I do.
Yeah. A few weeks ago we went for coffee, and I had labelled you, the video guy.
Yeah.
And you said, no, I don't consider myself a video guy. I could be misquoting, but if I remember correctly, you said, no, it's just the mechanism that I choose. Like, I consider myself, a personal brander. Can you elaborate on that? And did I get it right?
Yeah, that's kind of a fair point. The reason I started the business was how I'd worked at Slater's. I'd worked with all the influencer type people, and I was like, these aren't the sort of people, they were very mercenary-esque. Yeah. Let's say mercenarial, probably not a real word, but they would do Slater's one week, they would do M&S the next, and then Moss Bros or whoever, the competition. And I was like, I want to work with people who've got like good values and morals. Like, yeah, I'm very anti the Love Island stuff. We discussed that, like what that probably is doing to society and the way we'll look back on that, the behavior that normalizes. So one of the biggest names I got us with was Chris Williamson, who runs the Modern Wisdom podcast. Obviously a guy who's like very publicly trying to figure out life, figuring out stoicism, which is something I'm a big fan of. And I was like, these are good people to represent us. And they were loyal. They didn't want other men's fashion brands. And it was people building businesses or doing podcasts or whatever, or like working on something. And that's where I was like, there's all these cool, smart people building things, but they don't know how to talk about it, or they're not talking about it. Now, that led to why, it's one of the main reasons why I started doing what I did, but the whole purpose was that. So that led to doing what you would call founder-led video content. But as you start doing things for founders, they then start pulling you in, like, can you do some case studies for us? Or can you get some of our staff, which is still important, but talking on camera. And then you just start getting, to, can you come and record our event, and all these different bits and pieces. And my strength is in making people comfortable on camera. It's almost a coaching aspect, although I'd never call myself a coach. And holding them accountable and getting the videos out there and getting them out into the world and getting them to actually see it. It's not that scary and believe it. I'm not ashamed to say, there's hundreds of better videographers than me who could tell you all about the lighting setup we've got here, the very specific angles for this, and like slow-mo shots and stuff that looks cool for events and all that. What I care about is the human storytelling, the person in front of the camera. But when all you're talking about is video, people just assume videographer. And it's only in the last sort of 2-3 months where I've realized I've pigeonholed into that situation. And what I'm trying to do is get worthwhile people known, which means I've had to do it's not even so much a pivot, it's back to what I was doing, but being clear about my messaging, about why I'm doing it, who it's for, and what that can lead to. So the ease into that is I'm starting to take distribution away from people. So managing their LinkedIn so that they don't get too scared to post their videos. And that obviously leads to how the outside world perceives them, views them, and experiences them. And that obviously comes to, I hate the term personal brand, and everyone who works in personal brand caveats with that. Yeah. But the way I've started to try and verbalize it is almost talent management. Like, I would love to be, I told you this last time, the Ari Gold for those kind of people. And you mentioned somebody to me. Genflow. And I've actually written a post for LinkedIn for next week based on that.
Nice.
It's all about weaponizing video for attention. And what Genflow have done is they've got these amazing creators who are now becoming business people. What I want, I'd love to be Genflow, but in the reverse, like finding these amazing people who start really weaponizing their personal brand to grow their business. And yes, maybe they can create new products or offers from it, but they're just missing such a trick And I think it's because they don't want to, one, they're shy and more introverted. I found that especially in the business world and the tech world. But I think being a creator is cheapened in their eyes. I don't think they respect creators like that, not in that such a harsh way.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So they don't want to maybe bring themselves down to that level. And then there's obviously a bit of ego there. Like, I get what you're saying, but use the right way. And obviously they're worried it won't be authentic to them. You could do amazing things for yourself, for the world. Why have people looking up to like maybe some vapid creators when you could be a real, not thought leader?
No, I agree with a lot of what you just said there. Few things. I think like creators naturally understand positioning and getting attention way better. It's something that I think B2B really lacks. They struggle with it. I think your offer is pretty cool for that. The other thing you said was, publishing is really challenging. Like, I hate it. I just tried a posting challenge where I post a video every day. Never told you about it. Yeah, I failed on day 8. It's very, very...
Where were you posting them? I didn't see them.
I never really put it out there. I put it on YouTube. They are still live. They're all still there.
Still counts.
It was really just to build the muscle and the rep, which I'd love to speak to you about later, because I think that's also really challenging. Like, even just doing this podcast, I'm on episode 3. I would like to hope that this is significantly better than episode 1, but it's so hard to do. It takes a lot out of you. So yeah, that was the other point you said. I think putting publishing as part of your offer is really smart, because it's really tough if you're not used to it.
People can talk themselves out of it for anything.
Yeah.
Oh, one hair's out of place. Oh, my collar looks a wee bit flat. Oh, my shirt looks a bit creased. It's an excuse not to be overly aggressive, but at the end of the day, if you were to really reflect and think deeply, do I really care that much about the collar? No one else is going to notice it. They're going to be listening to the message. And again, there's nothing worse than people listening or watching a podcast and people referring to things before, but I like to think it adds a bit of depth. But you commented on a LinkedIn post the other day and you were like, fine, I'll publish my videos.
Oh yeah.
And then I did double check. I was like, okay, then do it. Or is it old messaging? But if they're still relevant.
No, they are still relevant. There's some, they were actually videoed in here a year ago.
Are you going to share them? Like, are you going to share the podcast? Keep this in the podcast, by the way. Are you going to share these videos, clips from your video podcast episodes?
Yeah, so I will still put this on YouTube, Spotify, etc. But then I'm going to clip them. So there's a whole bunch I want to speak to you about. I'm actually struggling. Where do we take this? But
to be extra harsh to my kind host here, I want it to be on LinkedIn for you, because that's where you get your clients. It's where you focus your attention. And it's also what you help your clients do.
Yeah.
And I think since we agree on the kind of people who we should be putting on a pedestal, leading by example is a very good step for that.
Yeah, no, they'll go on YouTube. So we're getting a trailer done. So it's quite, I think the trailer is quite nice how we've done it. I think there's always room for improvement, but I think you'll value the trailer. And then we'll put it on and we'll clip it and stuff as well. And yeah, LinkedIn is going to be, my main platform. That's like, I see it as the nucleus for all my work. So start there and we'll see how it goes. LinkedIn's funny right now though. Reach is very, very low. I found that video was also getting significantly less reach on LinkedIn. However, I did see a post the other day where someone said that landscape video is performing really well, not portrait. Curious if you've played around with that.
I have, and I don't have a definitive answer, to be honest, because there's so many different factors that come into play, whether what day you post, how you're catching people. August has obviously been terrible because people are away in their summer holidays, and I'd imagine the dwell time as well as people just visiting is much lower. The benefit of landscape. So this is maybe getting to a bit of weeds for people, but if you post a vertical video on LinkedIn, the video is there and then you get the 2 first lines of your copy, the words. I don't think very many people hit to see the words. I think people just watch the video. Whereas if you put it on landscape, it's like a traditional post. It's there and people see that and see more.
Yeah.
So I think it does increase dwell time in the copy probably. But I'm testing you're going to enjoy this. I'm testing. I'm just doing a variety of content, right? I think a full different content mix, whether videos, written. I'm not into carousels, but I'm sure there would be value in that for me. You did a nice carousel recently.
Thanks.
I think just having a full content mix is what matters. And funnily enough, the horizontal video I'm going to do is going to be about top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel content, which you've kind of swayed away from, and I knew we'd get into, but people just have to try and test. Like there's so many factors, like maybe a weaker hook is why people didn't watch what's actually a really valuable video. So then you have to test it again 2 weeks with a different hook, or maybe try it vertical, but that's only for people with the luxury of time whose whole job is focused on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And whilst I am video first personal branding with LinkedIn as the focus, like I don't live and breathe LinkedIn. I live and breathe the storytelling and the starting to build relationships.
Okay, so let's take this back, because you've said a lot of interesting things, right? So I am, B2B founder, or I've just maybe come onto LinkedIn, and I'm trying to work out, where do I put my content spend? And then also try and work out, how much time do I allocate to building my personal brand? Where would you start? So maybe there's different levels to this. Maybe there's the, founder that's working 14 hours a day, completely stressed out. Like, where does he get the most leverage? Is video something someone should start with, or something they should work towards? You take the stage.
Well, I'm thinking if he's doing 14-hour days, 5 days a week, he's hopefully making okay money, and then I'd outsource, like not even to sell services. If you don't have the value on LinkedIn is unquestionable now. The data's out there. And if you don't have the time to do it, but you feel you're missing out, then maybe support is just the answer, right? It just is. If you are working those days and you don't have the money to outsource, I'd assume you're a very early stage kind of tech company or something. And then if you have very limited time, I'm just thinking of all the tired, overworked people I know. I guess there's no excuse really to not be able to take 15 minutes at the start of your day and 15 minutes at lunch to check in. It's better than nothing. It would take longer than many other options, but in 15 minutes, could you go on in the morning, write a post it, not hang around for the comments and check in and respond to comments at lunch? Yes. Would the reach on it be good enough to make it worth? No, because the other content's one side of LinkedIn. Outbound are just, I hate that because that sounds salesy, just relationship building, connecting with people.
I think relationship building is more accurate, because like outbound, it's just like hardcore spamming people, right?
Yeah. As a business development
everyone I know that's built a good personal brand, at the core of it, community has been there. Like you've just told me, like your podcast was a big community building element too, right? And I know you go to events, so I think community building is really important. And I was also going to ask you, like, video as well. I think like that probably has a big part to play in community, because trust, you have to have people spend time with you so that they know about you, like you trust you. And video is one of the best ways to keep people, hear your voice. Surely it builds a stronger parasocial relationship. There must be some stats around that would go in video's favor. But video probably is one of the stronger content plays to build trust, right?
Definitely, because people get to experience you, as we were talking earlier, whether it will make the cut or not, is face-to-face podcast over digital podcast. You get a feel for somebody. And online, people can be really good liars, especially in the world of ghostwriting. Again, for people who don't have time, it's totally valuable. But if you get a bad ghostwriter who doesn't really get your tone of voice, or you start using AI agents, fake yous to be the video, and if that person seems really fast, smart, switched on, extroverted, but then someone meets you in person, that doesn't feel like marketing. It feels like a lie. And people don't like being lied to. So if they experience one side of you online and a different offline, that's only going to end in disaster. Whereas if it's actually you going on video, yes, people can do media training and stuff, but people can see through that. If someone's so polished with their lines and they're not fluffing, more reason to be human and include the bloopers and the mistakes. It just lets people get the gist of you. And when I go to events following that, I feel like I already know you.
Yeah.
I'm very handsy with how I speak. My tone is
Did you ever do
always
any
continuous.
training?
Never. No, it's just
No voice training, public speaking training,
no, nothing like
just
that.
reps.
Like back when we were in school and you had the closest was like when you had to do Robert Burns poems or the public speaking kind of stuff.
That was horrible.
Yeah, memory tests. Who was good at that? Not entrepreneurs, that's for sure. But no, it is the reps. And yes, people can spend money on coaches and people to help polish what they say. And maybe down the line, if I really want to up my game, and I'd imagine certain levels of C-suite do expect a level of polish.
Yeah.
Maybe in America where the culture is quite a bit more corporate as well. If you go in all creative and excitable and guns blazing, maybe it diminishes your value because they've been grown up. The people who speak too much or whatever don't value themselves, are insecure, which I think is crazy. But just getting out and speaking to people, speaking to a camera. Yes, it's great for doing video. It's great for getting clarity around what you're trying to say, confidence around your positioning, and I don't want to overuse the C words.
Like the 7 C's work.
What's the 7 C's?
Oh, you're going to make me remember it. That's the other thing I was going to raise. I feel like as soon as the video comes on, I feel like I lose like 40 IQ. I feel like my memory goes out the window. You said a minute ago, people faking it and, you know, they call high energy and stuff. I feel like it does the opposite for me. I feel like me on video is not me in real life. Well, this is real life, but
the more you do this, the more you find yourself. It's even in writing. When people start writing, we've all been beaten down by the corporate world in some way, where you had to become this really polished, professional self, where you're maybe not making the same jokes, or you're being more agreeable, and you're not being yourself. And I think a lot of people are unlearning those kind of behaviors, especially entrepreneurs and stuff who want to. You started a business for freedom, and that freedom is not just about life freedom; it's about self freedom. And in writing, a lot of people start very stiff. They're very, we were taught English in school and you had to write a certain way and do all this, which you learn's bullshit and doesn't really matter in the real world. I could get on a rant on education for another time.
Me too. Hate it.
Waste of time. But the writing, people find their voice. You when you started doing ghostwriting, you went and learned from a bunch of different sources, right?
I did too.
And it's great. And obviously, you're not trying to become like Matt Barker or like the other guys you learned from. It's about being you. They helped you learn how to write, but also how to be yourself. And you found your voice the more you wrote.
Yeah.
It's the same with going on camera. The more you go on it, it doesn't feel like you. You maybe feel it's a bit of a stiffer version, but then you do get used to it. It's not about doing the reps to get better. It's about doing the reps to relax.
I'm more comfortable.
That's what it's all about.
Do you have any tips or hacks to kind of just get comfortable in the moment?
I'm sure there's some speaking coaches who would tell you mouth exercises, or you sent me a link before we were doing this.
I was doing some weird sounds in the lift.
There probably is breathing and visualization.
Didn't help, by the way.
So that's why I don't believe in that stuff. But it probably does work for some people, which is why I don't poo-poo it. Just because it's not right for me, doesn't mean it's not right for other people. But it's about time in the game. Everything in life is about time in the game, unless you're naturally skilled. But like we've said, I've yet to meet somebody, whether they're in their 20s or 50s, the moment you put a camera on somebody, it's unnatural. And there was a study about the spike in, what's the stress hormone?
Cortisol.
Like a cortisol stress from looking at a camera, because your brain is just so anti it. Yeah, you have to get used to it.
Yeah.
It's like going out, if you're doing...
It's the same with LinkedIn posts in general, just content you just have to post and...
Everything. Public speaking, going to networking events, introducing yourself to you move to a new city, introducing yourself to new people, taking up a new sport, taking up a new activity. The problem is, when you and I deal with professionals at a certain stage of life, they have been so good at one or two things for so long, they've forgotten what it's like to be bad at something.
Yeah, I think it's worse than B2B too, because they've got this idea, like as you were saying, like they have to be the expert and they have to look like that. And then they try and take the frame of the guru as opposed to the, this is what I did and it worked. And I know this because it applies to ghostwriting, like actual writing, but it's very different doing it on video, I must say. But yeah, I think taking the frame of, this is what I've done, here's what I learned, people are happy with that. They'll actually appreciate that more because it's more authentic. So I like that frame, and I think that's a trap people fall into all the time, and probably where a lot of the sort of over editing comes from on videos and why people don't post it, because they don't feel like they look like the guru. But maybe that's the mistake that I've been making as well. So it's funny, that, but you still fall into that trap.
But this is a bit for you, right? Because you're talking about you were happy to build your ghostwriting in public.
Mm-hmm.
You're currently on that video journey.
Yeah.
Video podcasts are a very natural and great place for people to start. It's where I started. I did the video podcast before I started talking to camera, before I started doing it as a service for other people. 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, you'll share this clip people will be like, how are you so confident in your video? You'll share this clip being like, here's me talking about episode 3 of the podcast where I was nervous.
Yeah.
You're on that journey. You are doing the reps.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody wants to run before they can walk. And if you really wanted to do it to yourself, you could take a day, set up a camera and lights.
Just go for it.
And just go for it. And you would get better from doing a day from it. It'd be tiring. It would be exhausting, but you would speed up that process.
Mm. Okay, so let's go back to someone who's starting on LinkedIn. Would you recommend they just, rip the Band-Aid off, just put some videos out there, build in public?
Definitely. But I know everything comes with a but I hate people are so black and white, say everything with conviction, even though it's not necessarily true for everyone. Another C word. I would say, yes, start with video as part of your marketing mix on LinkedIn. The problem is, if you tell people that, it's another thing to think about.
Mm.
It's another thing to overthink on.
Yeah.
So rather than posting, they do nothing at all. If I'm not going to do 1 video and 2 posts a week, there's no point in starting. So rather than give people a barrier of saying you must do video before you go on LinkedIn, I'd rather they went on for the 15 minutes in the morning we said and just wrote a post. Maybe it's crap, maybe no one will see it, but it's a start. Post once a day. Once a week. 3 months later, maybe you're posting 3 times a week. Then maybe 6 months later, start introducing video. Everything requires baby steps. And if you start asking people...
3 months later, they could start introducing video?
I'd say sooner.
Yeah, but obviously people aren't.
If we're talking about hypothetical, the 14-hour-a-day person who God knows what they're balancing, if they've got that job, maybe they've got the wife and kids and they're also trying to see their friends and stuff. I'm trying to... If you'd caught me 2 years ago, I'd have been like, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm at the stage now where the kind of people we were talking about, who I want to be the voices, if the barrier to entry feels too hard, they're never going to get into this world.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather they'd start somewhere and build up to doing video than being like, you must do video. Because the moment you say that, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there is a lot of friction there. And I think it's hard to, so like one of the reasons I want to do this is I can see that it's such a big amplifier. Might not show on the on the metrics initially, like straight away, but I was thinking back to everyone I know that's got a really good personal brand, one that I can, I've got brand recall, I can think of them, I can even like imagine them speaking or talking. They all do video. They may have started in content, but they've incorporated video.
Sure.
You see everyone do it. Lara Costa, she's on video all the time. Like, I don't know if she started in video, but still, point is that all the big people, they do video. And I realized that it's a huge amplifier, and that's why I want to do it, even though it's very challenging for me. I walk away from this, feel drained. It takes it out of me. Sometimes I will say it does energize me, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like I can see the value in it.
I know it's never as simple as, because people say it to me and I don't know why I'm now doing it, but it's about a reframe, right? We're sitting down to have a chat because we're 2 dudes who like each other. We've got similar interests. We just like to shoot in the shit, basically. Mm-hmm. It's an excuse to have, and it's why I started the 30-something, right? It was an excuse to have interesting conversations with interesting people. Don't think of it like content or putting the reps in. That then makes it a challenge you've set for yourself. But if this is like, again, like I said, I'm inconsistent with my podcast, but it's something I'll always come back to because I genuinely enjoy it. It's an excuse to reach out to people.
Better, by the way,
100%, of course.
Already feels significant.
I had one person online during the pandemic, and I was like, never again.
Yeah,
they were very PRA sales type. But if you start viewing this is just something fun. This isn't the job. This is a side project where you get to learn from people. It's almost, again, I know you've reached out to similar people we know here in the LinkedIn creator space, but your ideal clients, agency owners, let's say who's like the head of WPP these days or somebody, or, maybe not one of the big umbrella companies, but one of the agencies. It's an excuse for you to reach out to them and sit down with someone who's maybe a master in their industry.
Yeah.
And sit down, and it's an hour brainstorm for you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like
so it just like it's
even this is like free consultation for me.
Totally. But that's very nice of you to say.
Always.
But that's you did pay for the studio, still kind of counts, right?
Yeah.
But when you remember that's the value. Yes, you may still be tired of the conversations, but it's rather than doing the reps and just getting another episode in, it's what was all the other benefits of doing it, and that's why I love podcasts.
Well, it sounds weird, but I've done a lot of podcasts before, but I think they were very different. I was in a very different part of my life before. But when I did them, I don't think they were that good, if I'm being really honest with you. But I just did as many as I could. They were more like an account-based marketing project as opposed to just getting video content, because more often than not, the person we were interviewing would become a client or refer us to a client.
Yeah.
So it started to become that. Made good money from it, to be honest. And they would do it because they just wanted their content, right? They would clip it or whatever. I'm not 100% sure what everyone's motivations were, but like that was one of them. And we made good money off it.
They are a great lead gen tool as well. I do recommend them to people if I'm talking to people about the kind of video content they want to do. I'll say what are the goals, figure that out. Then it's okay. I recommend a podcast. Oh, I can't really be bothered with that. Why? I'm like, gives you an excuse to reach out to your ideal customer.
Yeah.
You get them in a room.
That's a great end.
People love talking about themselves, and they rarely get to do it, especially at that senior level. They don't get to, they've got to be strong and put on a front a lot of the time. It's almost a therapy session for them to sit down and share their knowledge. You're giving them that opportunity, and you're giving them content that makes them look good. So it's not so much the rule of reciprocity, but there's an extent to that where they're like, I like this person, they've made me look good, especially if you do personal branding. I want them to continue this.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I definitely want some agency owners on this at some point. There's some really strong brands in the agency space. Carrie Rose, pretty sure she goes to Agency Hackers.
Okay, I've not seen her. She wasn't at the one event I went to.
Yeah, she's got a really good personal brand.
You should get the head of Agency Hackers on it, Ian Harris. I think that's his name.
My luck.
Now that you remember, I'd never seen him on podcasts. I bet he'd love to. I bet he gets undermeasured for the influence he has.
Yeah, it's for sure. I DM'd him on LinkedIn the other day just to say hi.
Good on you. Nice.
But no, I want some agency owners on this too. I really want Post and Profit to just be like similar to how you want people to tell their story. What I want Post and Profit to be is just to uncover how posting content builds incredible leverage so that you profit, and not just financially, from relationships, connections. Like for me, that's what Post and Profit's about. Just post the video and you'll profit, post the content and you'll profit. Like I know this logically makes sense.
Yeah.
Doing it in the moment is a little bit harder, but yeah, it makes sense.
Well, so say I've got my price, whatever it costs for me to do an in-person shoot. There's ideal customers and there's non-ideal customers. There's lots of people I'd love to work with, but if one customer to them is a small ticket 99 SaaS person,
yeah,
it's maybe not as valuable. But for someone who charges the same as me or more, they just need, and say we get 16 to 24 videos, they just need one of those videos to get an inbound that they close.
Yeah.
And that's their ROI back. So just if we're talking about posting and profit, 1 in 16 chance, and it's more than that, to get their ROI.
And it's
from a video.
One day you get 16 videos?
16 to 24.
So like one day, that's essentially 16 days, maybe 24 days of videos. if you post one a day?
For the content strategy, I usually recommend 2 per week. So it's usually about 2 to 3 months periods, usually sways more into the 3 months.
Nice.
If they want to drag it out more, they can make it 6 months. Then it's just 1 video a week.
Yeah.
But based on what their goals are and how fast they want to utilize things, and obviously we were talking about how I'm going to take over distribution, it would be 2 videos a week.
And do you help them with the scripting? Do you advise scripting?
It's the full process. So ideation, script writing, shoot day, filming and editing, and the distribution, obviously, because the first 1.5 years of the business, which led to me taking over distribution, was people paid for that. They invested the day and the energy, and then the content's just sitting in a folder. And when I did a post about that, tons of other videographers were like, you know what, I think I'm going to find a way to take over distribution as well, because people don't post it. And I couldn't imagine spending, the money. And then you've just got these videos that...
It just becomes such a bottom. Like, I rented this place for a day, maybe not a day, but I rented it for a good few hours. I got like, the plan was I'll get like 8 shorts done, and then I'll clip them all down. I've got 8 shorts, that's 8 days of content, get them edited, get the text put on them, make them nice, have some audio added in. They're sitting in a Google Drive. Because the actual posting part is hard. You look back and you're like, oh, it doesn't really know, hasn't really came out the way I wanted it to. But
so from all your hires, you've got ghostwriters.
Yeah.
I think you need to hire your own wee...
I have a video there.
No.
Oh, something to post?
Account handler.
Yeah, I've been thinking this too. Because
take it out your hands.
Since the ghostwriting business has boomed, still not 100% sure if I'm going to call it something new. I don't know if I told you the new brand name I'm toying with. Yeah, because I really do.
Special episode announcement.
Yeah, no, I want to take it to the next level. What we have today is like I'm happy with, but it's not where I want to be. I want to not be Jen Flow. I don't want to be Jen Flow because they focus more on creators, but I want to fix the content gaps in someone's funnel, wherever that might be, to help them maximize the amount of money from the personal brand. So once we help them get more attention, we help them make more money from their personal brand, and specifically high ticket service owners, service founders.
So almost like a Krogo.
Is that I don't know much about Krogo. I've seen Sam around, but I don't know too much about them. But is that
they're one of the original big personal brand agencies?
Yeah, I know they're the name. I remember the name.
Yeah,
I've never really looked too much into them. So do they do that? Do they fill in the gaps?
I think they do.
Yeah,
smart, getting opportunities.
Yeah,
I don't not so much if you're talking about going the funnel way of videos and copywriting, attract people to the page, and then you drive people to a funnel that takes people on a journey to buy the product or the service. I don't know if they take it that far, but is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, you have the founder, you build their personal brand, their LinkedIn starts doing really well. Okay, they're getting people view the profile. What next? The people are viewing your profile that's in your ICP, but the founder doesn't message them. And I've been seeing this and I'm thinking, okay, well, the next step is appointment setting. So that's what we're rolling out next month as a trial. So all our clients right now are getting a 2-month free trial of appointment setting.
You should speak to a client of mine, Matthew Deegan. Did I mention him last time? Social Hotspot?
No.
I don't know if this is for the podcast, but this is just, we'll forget about it by the time we're done. Matt, really smart guy, young guy, 22, 23, if that. Basically, they're evolving so fast. First it was meta ads for home improvement companies, roofs, kitchens, all that kind of thing. They've got me in Scotland, guy in the north of England, guy in the middle. Matt would be there now, it's just videographers. We shoot with these guys. We do 5 different kinds of awareness ads, 5 different kinds of bottom of funnel ads, testimonial ads, videos. Now, they've taken the full process. So you get the meta ads, then you click through. There's a video we've recorded for the landing page. People sign up with the email address. There's then the email sequence with videos in it. And the appointment settings. So they actually have people who close on the calls now within the agency. They learn their clients inside out and they do it, and it's the full closing service.
Yeah.
And I think the goal is to make 100 million for revenue for their clients. And I think they just reached 7
million
for their clients.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what I want to do, because clients also aren't the best at that either sometimes, because they're so You know, they're jumping between 5 different hats. Like, I've been there. That's the thing. I think that's why. So, you know, back to you said you don't consider yourself the best videographer.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself the best content writer. In fact, I think I'm far from it. But I don't think the value we bring to our clients is just the content writing. That's just one part of it. My experience, you know, I've ran 3 different agencies. I've been in marketing for 10 years. Like, that's my experience. So it means I can sit down with a founder and I can, you know, pull out parts of their story that, you know, their audience will find more interesting, because I've been there, I've been the audience.
Yeah, it's like prompting AI, but people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we can package things up together, position them. And, you know, we also give them like a lot of time leverage. There's so many benefits, right? But just one part of them is that. And these founders, like, you know, they have so many hats. They could be trying to do a video one morning, next minute they've got an HR meeting for some weird reason. Then they've got, you know, sales calls back to back. But by that point, they're starting to get hungry, their blood sugar's dropped, and, you know, it's chaos being an agency founder. They need our help. And I think that's why sometimes, you know, you're like, okay, I want to do videos, but it's, you know, you have great intentions, but because you're an agency founder or a B2B founder, the chaos of the day can just sometimes take control. And then you miss a week or you miss a day, and that comes 2, and then 3, then 4. And then you don't even get, like, another thing I wanted to speak to you about today was like bringing out your actual founder story. It's so hard when you're in the thick of it to take a minute and actually think about your story. Like, you got to do some proper inner work to think about what happened. How did it go down? You know, what was the pain there, so you can amplify it in the story? You know, is it even an interesting story? Is it only interesting to you because you're biased? How do you package that up in a way that doesn't make you look, you know, weird or, I don't know, like braggy? You know, there's like so much to it. Like, getting someone to help you with that provides so much value, especially when you're time poor, which I think a lot of people in B2B are.
I mean, I'm horrendous at telling my own story. 100%. There's so many touch points I could go on that I just don't. I'm getting better because I do it for other people and we know the value in it. As for people sharing it and it being a bit weird or a bit cringe, again, to remove the barriers for anyone listening, maybe it will be, but people have short memories.
Yeah.
And you can retell that story a better way in 2-3 months and a better way 3 months after that, and you polish it and it gets better and better. Nobody has given an amazing story from when they first got it out there. It will be weird. It will be cringe. Your first posts will be crap. Your first videos will be crap. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of the journey, and people overthink it, which is just the barrier.
I always say as well, like, you know, a post has been through, you know, 2, 3, 4 iterations will always, as long as it's done by the right people, will always be better than first draft, which is another value add for using, you know, an external supplier to help with your video or written content or email, whatever, because they're a sounding board, right? And they'll help, you know, develop it or hone it into like a concrete piece. One topic I wanted to speak to you about was the idea of slow content, which is something that's been on my mind a lot recently. So, you know, right now it's so easy to create content. Everyone can just use ChatGPT. You can even get AI video content now. Looks terrible in my opinion, but it still can be done. It's never been easier to create content. It's never been easier to not think about the ideas and use something like ChatGPT to create content or to steal ideas. People do it. It's terrible, but they do. I don't think the value comes from just creating the content now. I've been playing around with the idea that some people should actually just post slower and take the time to really hone their own ideas first, whether that's, you know, journaling or, you know, just doing some inner work away from any social media, away from YouTube, away from LinkedIn, like doing that work away from all that with no idea of like, or no like plan to turn it into content. Just get your IP on paper first. I call it core material, and then post it more slowly as you hone it, which goes against a lot of what your typical personal brander says. Like they say, you need reps. You gotta get 1 post a day to get more. What do they call it? They basically say you want to get more posts out there to get more analytics to see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, like volume.
But I, in some cases, think people actually ruin their brand by posting more, because every single post trains the audience to either read more posts or to scroll. So I'm of the belief that if your posts aren't original, if you're just posting to post it, you start falling into the trap of, okay, I got to post today, so I got to rush this. I'm going to use ChatGPT. Maybe you don't like iterate on it as much as you should. Maybe you don't take the time to read it out loud, and then you put something out there that just isn't good, and it might even be bad. It might even turn people off. You might even accidentally say something that you didn't intend that someone could misinterpret. So I've started playing around with this idea of, what does slow content look like? And I'm curious, do you agree with this or fundamentally disagree? And if so, what would that look like?
I wouldn't say I fundamentally disagree. I'm coming from a position of someone who's been posting for a while. I'm worked in social media for a while, and again, been a big fan of things like stoicism and self-work for a while. I'm far from perfect, so I don't want it to sound like that. So I've done some of that internal self-work slightly before posting, maybe, or maybe partially alongside it as well. So my experience is skewed in that sense. But when you're talking about slow content, are you talking about a general audience, or what if, an ideal client, or maybe a middle ideal client comes to you and they are a bit chaotic, they are a bit crazy, they are a bit all over the place, but they're cool, their sound, their message is worth hearing. Do you tell them, listen, before we work together, I think you should go and do some inner work and slow down? Or is what you were saying just a message for people who are going it alone and starting out?
Going it alone. Because I think when you use someone like us, we will battle test it with you. You can just give us your IP in raw form and we'll mold it for you. But people that are doing it themselves, like, I've spoken to prospects and they're doing like 3 million a year. And their leverage came from like either just having a really good network, not the best of products, like not anything that's like truly groundbreaking or interesting. So we could have scaled much faster. That's the thing. So we managed to scale to 30,000 a month in 6 months. I was really proud of that. I thought it was quite fast for where I'd started, which was on a bit of a low season. And with this new service line, I wanted to find the right clients, like very different to my old model where I would take pretty much everyone. So we had a lot of calls with people that were interested. LinkedIn's booming. Everyone wants to be on LinkedIn right now. And some of these clients were quite big in revenue, but they were just missing, like, from the call, it sounds horrible, and hopefully they don't listen to this on an Uber I'm talking about, but you would ask them questions and they couldn't answer. And you didn't really have anything truly like groundbreaking. It's like, we can package this up, we can throw in a good hook. And that's where I got one of the other things one of my other bits is, I don't believe the hook's the most important part of a LinkedIn post. I believe the most important part of a LinkedIn post is a clear thought, a unique idea. I think if you have one of them, even with terrible copy, the post will do well. Whereas if you have great copy and a terrible idea, it's not going to do so well. That's where that came from. So, I'm thinking to that person, you could put them on a video, you could write them a script, but there wouldn't be much in there that's truly unique. So that's where I'm thinking.
Well, it's to go back to, I think it's tough, right? I think it's easy to say from a place of like privilege, not saying that's the case, but telling people before they start posting, take it slow, go and be reflective and figure out your story and stuff. But if we're using the example, and I don't mean to keep going back to it, of the 14-hour worker who's got all the things in their mind, it's again, nothing's black or white, because it's like you said, if they just start posting in this crap and like maybe negative, they maybe put themselves in a bad light and it's hard to come back from that. But also asking people to take it slow when there's a bit of a gold rush going on is tough as well. There's a different middle ground for everyone, which does not help anybody watching or listening, but people need to figure out what their middle ground is. It's, do they think they can post? Do they think what they post, they could at least make it coherent? You've already given a hint, just have one clear message or one clear takeaway or one unique idea. Even if it's a bad written post, just get it out there. So maybe rather than taking time to reflect, and figure out your messaging, because you can create whilst doing that. And I'm a big fan of creating whilst figuring it out.
Oh, you definitely hone it over time.
Yeah, and it's maybe spend more time per posts than figuring out. So maybe on a Sunday or a Monday, jot down 3 mental ideas and then try and spend 20, 30 minutes minimum with each.
Yeah.
And decide if that's true to who you think you are, who you're trying, maybe less who you think you are and who you're trying to be, more so. We've given a lot of like big ideas there, but it is, people need to be, what are they actually capable of? How much time do they actually have? How urgent are things? I do think it's like you said, we're in a LinkedIn gold rush right now. Things are getting noisier. There's a lot of ChatGPT content out there. As long as you keep it unique to you, and you genuinely, it's like we were talking about the podcast, do this for the right reasons, because you love speaking to people, you love flexing the muscle of going on video, love sharing your ideas and thoughts with people whilst being aware of the results that can bring. And I don't want to say you can't go wrong, but you'll at least start that journey.
Yeah. I think starting's the most important part.
Yeah.
I think the thing that makes it hard, from the people that have asked me for advice, I put a post out last week I did a reintroduction post, and that spurred a few conversations, and it was people looking to get to a similar position. And they're like, we spoke about this a few times in the podcast, they want to do 7 posts a week. They want to get a video in,
and they do nothing.
Well, they try, but it's like very rushed and stretches them out. And I mean, some people are really doing nothing, but the people I was speaking to were just very flustered and not seeing the results. And when I think of slow content, it's them I think about. I'm like, why don't you just slow down? Focus on 3 posts a week. Get that right. Get to the point where that becomes easy, and then go elsewhere. But the other thing I think it makes it hard on LinkedIn is you really only get 1 shot a day, or your post gets capped. So the added pressure of that as well, also maybe stresses some people out. So yeah, but I'm playing around with this slow content idea. May not be fully fledged, but
I think it definitely makes sense. Like, but that's where a lot of people get value from working with people like you and me, right? We almost become therapists.
Yeah.
You're asking questions. You said some of these people don't have answers. They probably do, but it's like, tell me a joke. They freeze up on the spot. If people were, it doesn't have to be conversations with service providers. It could be their friends, peers to figure, or colleagues. They could kind of get to the bottom of what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
So there's ways to do it. If you're able to be reflective and self-reflective, go do that. If you need conversations with people, do that. If you don't have those people in your life to have conversations with, pay somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it always needs to be in a work either. Like you said, like go and speak to people, having a chat with a mate, or even like a business coach or whatever. There's so many of my like sort of best ideas or like best SOPs or whatever has come from talking it out loud with like a coach. But it hasn't been the coach's advice. It has just been him asking questions that has allowed me to connect the dots between things. And it's usually those like aha moments that make great LinkedIn posts, that create great ideas.
And that's what we, without being coaches, actually do for people as well.
Yeah.
Because you're asking questions and it just gives people an opportunity to speak out loud. So some other advice is always go for a walk.
Yeah, I love walking.
And just voice note yourself ideas as they come to you. Don't walk and scroll, but walk and just talk to yourself. And you'll actually find there's really good value in what you think when you're away from screens and getting some fresh air.
Yeah, 100%. I've started journaling. So the thing that I do, did I tell you? I showed you my ChatGPT deep research. Yeah. So I'll basically start in a journal. I'll write down ideas. I'll take those ideas. I'll put them into ChatGPT. I'll run a deep research report. Then I'll print it off. Sorry for the trees. And then I'll go through it with a highlighter and I'll pick out the best parts. Go back into the journal. Repeat the process. And I've just been spending hours doing that. And I love it because it's like it's been allowing me to like explore things that I would have spent hours doing online, staring at a screen with all the distractions, but I can do it in a coffee shop with like no laptop. I can do it, outside on the balcony, whatever. It's been a good process for me.
This is where I can pitch the video version of that as well. Have your mobile, just have it for 20 minutes and just talk to it.
Yeah.
Just talk, ramble in silence. Obviously make sure no one's around because you'll get worried that people can hear and you'll overthink what you're saying. But I've got the I mentioned before, I'm trying to document more of the days. I've got my DJI Osmo. And that's a totally different muscle from straight, because like doing things in the spur of the moment, learning to just talk to the camera, and I'm trying to do it for content, which makes me overthink it.
How is it doing? How are you doing? Is it going well?
It's fine. I've yet to edit any of the videos, but we're getting there. But if somebody's just recording themselves with no intention to post it, you record that video, and you know, if you go through the put it in transcription software, then you get a written version. That can be posts. You can put it into AI, and you can be like, give me post ideas. And it will be in your tone of voice. It will be spoken. It'll also show you know more than you think. That's one of the big things we've not actually touched on. Everybody doubts themselves. Everyone thinks what they know is basic or obvious or boring. Whereas, it's like you said, you told the story of how you became to what you are, and you've got people who want to follow the same journey. There are millions of people out there.
Yeah.
Whether you feel like you've not made it or you've not done it or you don't know anything, there's hundreds, thousands of people who would love to know that. And I think people just need a reminding of that. And that's, again, why it's good getting a service provider or somebody, right? I hate keep saying that because this isn't like a sales thing. But having somebody in your life, whether a friend, a partner, a peer, who reminds you of your self-worth is worth their weight in gold.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. People are always, your audience is often like 3 steps behind, and it's so hard to see that from your lens. There's a name for it. What is it? Like, it's like the curse of being like the expert, or the curse of being experienced.
Yeah.
I always think back to when I started in business, like how naive and like almost stupid I was at times, but just did things, just did crazy things. Now I would overthink it. Now I'm like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this, da, da, da. But it's still content. Like if I were able to think back to that person that started in business and think of his questions, I would probably have a very, very, very full content calendar right now.
So I wish, if anything, I wish we documented earlier, because there's so much I've learned, I've forgotten I learned.
Yeah.
And so, well, this is, I'm just sidebar. Although one memory that does stick with me, I used to work in recruitment for ad agencies, would have been your ideal clients. I've probably got a black book for you now that I think about. But we went out for a client dinner, me and the CEO, Dan, who was like 35 at the time, which is crazy. I'm his age now. And we went out for Chinese, and you know, Chinese people were sharing dishes, and I was just eating everything, and like there was food left on the plate, so I like finished it all off. And he was like, we were walking, and he was like, you did great in that meeting, Johnny, but just so you know, and these kind of meals, you don't have to finish everything. And that stuck with me. Lesson: don't be the greedy guy at the meeting.
Oh,
leave something on the plate, let other people join.
Did it look?
No, but my boss did.
Right.
But like that's kind of good for life, right? But not really that valuable. But for some reason, that's one of the lessons that stuck with me, because the other stuff is just day to day. You learn, you gradually get better. I think things when a CEO calls it out as a one-off, you're like, this is something that will stick. Whereas more gradual things, getting better at asking the right questions, is just over time.
Yeah, I hear you. Speaking of stories, what has been the best content that sparked, you know, like an interesting chat, not even an interesting chat, like a chat that was valuable to you, whether it helped your relationships or financially. But I'm just curious, has there been any content you've put out that has caused so much resonance that you have successfully gained a lot from it?
Sadly, but not surprisingly, the video I did on LinkedIn that sparked the most conversations was a comedy video.
Right. Oh, I know that one.
Yeah,
that was
the angel
video.
one. Yeah. So people, I think a lot of people will absorb wisdom, lessons, and education, not really act on it. And maybe it builds you up as an authority. And every now and again, you'll say the right thing or catch somebody at the right moment, which makes them be like, I need to do this, so this is my guy. Because you've reframed their thinking. You've made them think why. Well, you've made them learn why to do it instead of here's how you should do it. And there's just a lot of that going around, whereas what's unique and different, especially in a B2B platform, is something creative that stands out. And that's why you see a lot of people talking about, especially video people. Not me so much, because I'm getting people as they're just getting comfortable on camera. But you've got people being like, again, I think it's a barrier. You need to be doing these super creative videos and standing out and being this with these kind of edits and X, Y, Z and and it makes it this big thing. And that works for some people, especially at the awareness level.
Yeah.
But what I did was a very personal brand led thing. It was me playing 2 roles, and it was just based off like a wee small camera. Anybody could do it.
Yeah.
If they had the confidence or the courage to do it. So it made it more relatable. It made it feel more attainable. And also it was kind of funny. It was me in a Peppa Pig duvet, an angel coming to me, a Pamela Anderson poster above my bed, and the copy told the story that the video told. And it was people reaching out being like, that was funny, that was hilarious, because it was different.
What was the production then? Like, did it take you long to think about the idea, the script?
No.
Oh.
No, that was basically a day. That was all done within a day. Basically, well, no, because I had to order the Peppa Pig duvet and the Pamela Anderson pasta and the
you
angel
had that
wings.
already.
Yeah, you can see right through me. But yeah, that at the end of the day, social media, like a lot of things, sometimes does come down to attention. On LinkedIn, it's a wee bit different because you can reach out to people and then your standard content starts getting in front of them. But like a big awareness piece like that did strike up conversations which, yes, had people interested in business, had people just being like, oh, that was great, love that, blah, 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 wasn't ever leading to it. So it just kind of like sparked a lot of different things at different levels of the funnel, which is your point, right? No one post can just be tailored to one thing because people experience it differently. But yeah, like funny, and I keep having a note to do more funny videos, but they do require more time, thought, but they are more relevant than ever, especially on LinkedIn with AI content, because that clearly wasn't AI. AI was never going to be like, get a Peppa Pig duvet, get Pamela Anderson, and get a date. And it was called Rose's 10 Commandments of video based on Moses' 10 Commandments, hence the biblical angel. So it was something different. Yeah. That's what sparked the most interest in the business, in me, in the conversations.
Speaking to the AI thing you mentioned there, like it has never been easier to create content with AI right now, and the feed is flooded with it. I think anything you can do to build more brand recall is a good thing. So, that video, let's just pretend it only got 1,000 views. If you don't need 1,000 buyers B2B, if 10 of those people were your ICP and they just remember you because of it, it's so hard to track on at the front end initially, but if they remember you a year later and they need your service, they'll think of you. You know what I mean? So I think I don't know what you would call it, but like the action window off that video is probably a year or 2 years. So I think anything you can do right now to build brand recall is really good.
But that's an interesting thing, right? Because that's why I've not been in a rush to do anything. And I'm a marketer, right? So I should know better. But it's because posts, what you would call my standards, posts, business as usual, do what I need them to do this week. Mm-hmm. I know we've had our different conversations about it. I did a top of funnel post, 1 bottom of funnel and 3 middle of funnel. So top of funnel, I knew it was going to do all right. It was a picture of me and Lewis Capaldi. It was talking generally like, I don't like this idea of authority stacking, which is not a new marketing thing, but people are verbalizing it a lot more, of be seen with good, well-known people and people assume you're good and you're worth their time. Hence me and Lewis Capaldi. I was like, me standing next to Lewis, clearly I'm a good singer. Mm-hmm. I'm shocking. But I knew that was going to be a top of funnel piece. The copy was resonant. It was a marketing thing that a lot of people, like, it's cheap. And it was a hook with me and Lewis. Most page views, most engagement, most likes, obviously nothing in the inbox. Then an authority video and a relatable video, middle funnel, like maybe a couple of DM conversations, bottom of funnel, 2 leads. And I did a post today with a methodology, which is a framework, which I just made up the name today for the post. But it's like you said, having IP is good, and hearing that from people like you is why I did it. But it was that. So I followed the standard kind of marketing funnel, different bits during the day. And obviously we've discussed the same people might not be on LinkedIn at the same time. Like it could just be a luck or a fluke, but those posts do different things.
Yeah.
That big awareness video is quite broad, quite interesting, but a lot more time and creative, intensive, heavy. And because I've not needed it, I've not done it. It's a nice to have, not a must have. And the irony of that is obviously a lot of people view video or content is a nice to have and not a must have. So bit of a hypocrite there, but it's because my content's doing ish what I need.
Nice. And by the way, I do like. Actually, I'm not going to say I do think it works, but my issue with the whole top of funnel, middle of funnel thing on LinkedIn is, your average person will take top of funnel, and then suddenly they're doing growth posts because they need awareness, right? And I think they fall into a trap like that. That's one of my biggest gripes with it.
I did for a while. I did a post about how I fell into too much top of funnel because it's what people engage with. It's what people liked. It was universally relatable and it gets you more likes and engagement, which feels good to the brain.
But it's not related to what you do or like, you know, what you're selling, or the people that are doing growth posts are like, I've done it too. I've actually posted about HR. Like, why did I post about HR? And actually, I think it actually is a big turn off now as well. I want to see people do it because it's just like, I know you don't actually care about this. You just want the engagement.
Well, so that's different. Not to bring up the old, sorry, I shouldn't be speaking when I'm pouring mid-task, but that's the difference, right? It's like, why is someone actually doing things, but people are more cynical than ever. So like the fact your go-to was, why are you posting about this? You're not even interested in it. Maybe they are, but as marketers, we're so cynical of why people are doing things that maybe other people aren't.
Yeah. Okay, so we've been going quite a while, so you know.
Sorry.
I
told you we would in that voice note.
It's good though. I just hope we don't get kicked out. But to sort of wrap this up, what do you think of the state of LinkedIn right now?
I am not a massive fan, but I've mentioned obviously I did recruitment, so I was on it back in 2012 to 2015. But that was as a recruiter reaching out to people. I wasn't really doing content.
Yeah.
But that shows you how long I've been on it, and I've seen the evolution. I hopped on it, and when I worked at Slater's, I did posts here and they did well. That's because when people don't think you're trying to sell them something, they're obviously more, and it felt community based. It was more good for the ego though at the time for sure. But then when I joined and I started doing my own thing in 2022, 2023, I started angling to it in 2022. It was very non-cynically community based. People were talking and engaging on people's comments and posts because they wanted to. Now people are like, post on, and there's value in this, right? So I'm not, but I hate that it's become a thing. It's like an action you have to do, not that you want to do. Comment on 10 ideal clients posts.
Yeah.
Comment on 10 known people's posts so that you get seen and you get visibility. And LinkedIn's kicked that on, right? Because now you can see how many people view your comment. So it's all a game. Whereas it was more real back then. People were having a chat because they wanted to. There was less people doing it, so it felt more community because everybody knew people. And as more people have rushed to the platform, there's more noise. And I wouldn't have an issue if there was more people, but it's just noise for the sake of noise, posting for the sake of posting. And it's just lost something. And I know part of that is because that it has changed. And they are rewarding the wrong things. But also when you've been doing something for a while, it loses its spark. Turns something you enjoy into a job, very quickly it starts feeling like a job. And I'm trying to find that love for it again by building thoughtful conversations with interesting people, detaching from if that will lead to business, and just trying to do what I was doing 2.5 years ago. Just talk, have interesting conversations, try and meet people in the real world, have a coffee. That's what networking is about, right? It's like about building relationships. And people ruin everything. Marketers ruin everything. Networking, and the reason it became so dirty and people hated the idea of it is because you're handing out name tags, you're trying to get names. LinkedIn's now become that. It's become what everyone used to hate about networking. And that's why you're seeing the rise of communities and in-person events, because people hate what that's become. But it's human behavior that's driving that. So you can make the experience what you want. So what I think of it right now, I'm not happy with what it's become, but it doesn't have to be that for me. And it's kind of re-finding that.
Interesting. Yeah, I must say I'm much more attracted to offline events right now. I think we all crave it, to be honest.
In-person podcasts.
In-person podcasts, the way to go. But yeah, what I'm doing is I'm connecting with them on LinkedIn. knowing that I'll meet them. So all the agency hackers, people are probably going to connect with them now. Put a little note in, I might see you at Ibiza, and then start it that way.
There's a guy who did that last year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did it
He was
work?
just like, I'm assuming there was nothing special about me, not my imposter syndrome, but he connected, hey, Johnny, I'll see you in Ibiza, like classmate. See you then.
Cool. Did you meet him?
Can't remember.
He doesn't have brand recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One last question out of curiosity. So, did you ever did you have Chris William on the podcast?
We tried to organise it a couple of times, but didn't happen. But
Shame.
yeah.
Yeah.
My plan, I do have him on WhatsApp, so the plan
Did you?
is, still do.
Ah.
So the plan
Did you
is,
see my post on LinkedIn?
you asked me to comment on it specifically. I went on and I gave the Slayer a shout out, obviously.
Yeah.
I do plan to go to Austin at some point and reach
Nice.
out to him. But
I actually met the ghostwriter that does James Smith. I always get his name mixed up.
that's funny. I saw you liked his post last night
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And just as I was going to look into him, no word of a lie, my phone died.
Oh no.
So I typed in James Smith once my phone had recharged and I couldn't find the guy. But yeah, he's his personal brand manager. That's interesting.
Nah, he's not. I don't think he is anymore. But I thought that was very interesting because I didn't expect it because I had spoken to the guy before and then I was like, wow, that's impressive.
Because you've said you want to get Chris, because that's why you did the carousel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day it'll happen.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely.
manifest it. Maybe you'll beat me to it. But
No, I'm like Chris, amazing, cool, smart guy, obviously a businessman and a creator. But getting Chris on board, he's already got the reputation and stuff. I think like a monkey could write his post and he'd get engagement sort of thing.
100%.
The people who aren't known, the people who haven't figured out, those are the people I want to get. I'd find it a lot more rewarding taking someone who's building cool stuff and not getting the recognition for it and getting them known than somebody who's known and making them bigger. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just know where my preference lies.
See, I don't think I would get fulfillment in making him bigger, but his topic and there's some really interesting conversations. I think it'd be really fun to distill that.
Find the smaller guy.
Synthesize all that and then turn it into something that would work on LinkedIn. Like, I think that would be a really fun project.
Do you know what? That's my challenge to you. Find the smaller Chris.
Yeah.
Find the wee Chris. There's going to be plenty of them out there. Find the wee Chris and get him blown up.
Yeah. Problem is, podcasters don't make too much money, do they?
Maybe because they don't have the right guy building them up on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Anyway, this was lovely to have you on the podcast. This is probably our longest one, the first in-person one. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Johnny.
My pleasure, mate. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you?
Find me mainly on LinkedIn. It's probably Johnny Rose 6 or something like that. But if you just type Johnny Rose, I'm sure I better be in the top 5, if not the top 10. Or I am Johnny Rose on Instagram, or the Story Club podcast on YouTube.
Cool. Awesome.